Ever since my classmates found out I was the fake heir, they were absolutely thrilled. Not to mock me, but because they could finally see what a poor person looks like. Finally, someone could claim the school aid. Even my adoptive parents weren't cruel like in novels. They didn't just kick me out. When the real heir mocked me, nobody paid him any attention. Instead, they asked about my plans. "Since your real son is back, I'll naturally go find my biological parents," I said, taking a sip of hot tea. Mu Yaowei thought I was raised well, always sharp and decisive. Too bad we weren't blood related. No matter how elegant I wasn't biological. He wouldn't ask me to stay. "The family will give you 3 million. Your future is up to you. I will always remember your kindness in raising me." Mu Yaowei gave a cold nod. "Pack up and let old Lu drive you." I put down my teacup and headed upstairs. At the corner of the stairs, the real son, Mu Xuan, called out from behind. "Our real parents are poor, so don't bring too much luggage. You won't need those luxury brands anyway. Don't leave a bad first impression." I glanced at him. "Throw away whatever I don't take." Mu Xuan froze. "You're throwing all of it away? Those are limited edition designer items. Any single piece is worth a fortune." "That is just like burning cash." I found his drama amusing. I walked upstairs, grabbed my small backpack, and only packed my ID and phone. I left everything else behind. I left without a single ounce of regret. The family car dropped me off at an old, run-down neighborhood. I double-checked the apartment number and knocked on the iron door. Looking at her weathered eyes, I knew instantly she was my biological mother. I smiled warmly. "I believe I am your biological son." Mother Ye froze instantly. We stared at each other through the metal gate. I politely asked, "Can I come inside so we can talk?" She snapped out of it and hurriedly opened the door. She welcomed me, poured a glass of warm water, and handed it over, looking quite nervous. I took a sip and briefly explained the mix-up. "Mu Xuan is the Mu family's real son, and I am yours." My biological parents had actually suspected this, but seeing their refined, elegant biological son in front of them, they could not help but feel self-conscious. I had already memorized the family files and knew everyone. "Do you have any questions for me?" I asked. This felt less like a family reunion. It felt more like a corporate negotiation. Mother Ye nervously asked what I wanted to eat. Smiling softly, I said I had no preference. She stood up, looked at Father Ye, and said, "I'll run to the market. Call the girls and tell them to come home right away." Hearing the front door click open, I walked out of the room and met my biological sisters. With a warm smile, I introduced myself. "I'm Mu Chen." Hearing my deep, gentle voice, Ye Shui's heart skipped. She looked at me in disbelief. "You don't mind how tiny our place is?" Her anxiety eased up a bit. "Dad told me everything. This is our little sister, Jia Yi." Mother Ye came back from the market and headed to the kitchen. She seemed to be avoiding talking to me. I sat on the small sofa with Father Ye, while the other three sat cross-legged on the floor. It was incredibly tight. Father Ye sighed heavily. "You see how things are, squeezed into this tiny 60-square-meter apartment. I can rent you a place outside and send you an allowance." I looked at him calmly. "Are you saying you don't want me living here?" He quickly panicked. "No, of course not. We're just worried you won't be used to it." Having secured permission to stay, I smiled. "If you don't mind, I'll live here from now on." Ye Shui suggested buying me a bigger bed. "The guest room sofa is fine. I actually planned to renovate the layout." Hearing she would get a new desk, Ye Jiai jumped up and down with excitement. Mother Ye came out of the kitchen with dinner. There was fresh fish soup and some massive boiled shrimp. Ye Jiai's eyes lit up. This was her favorite dish, reserved only for holidays. Having grown up eating luxury delicacies, I didn't care much about the food itself, but I could feel their genuine love. The awkwardness quickly melted away. Since I brought nothing but money, I planned to buy a couple of casual outfits nearby. Jiai volunteered to show me the way, so I took her hand. I used to buy clothes in VIP rooms, so shopping like this was a fun new experience. I picked out a few casual outfits and grabbed some sneakers. On our way back, we passed a candied hawthorn stand. Seeing Jiai staring at the glass case before politely looking away, I bought her a strawberry one. Holding her treat, Jiai was pure joy. She giggled and held it up to me. "Brother, have one." I paused, then gently ruffled her hair. "I don't really like sweets, kiddo." Jiai counted the strawberries on the bamboo stick. One for big sister, one for second sister, and one each for mom and dad. I chuckled softly. Holding her hand, we walked back, only to see Ye Zixi rummaging through a cardboard box and pulling out an old doll. Hearing my footsteps, she frantically hid the doll behind her back. I walked over, my face completely expressionless. "No need to hide it," I saw. She lowered her eyes like a child caught doing something wrong, slowly bringing the doll back out. Mu Chen used to love this doll. He slept with it every night. I didn't think he would just throw it away. He threw away a lot more than just a doll, I said flatly. My calm words cut deep into her heart. Only when people feel the pain will they finally wake up. I sighed inwardly. Take it if you want it. She threw the doll back into the box and gave me a bitter smile. The fan creaked in the hot summer night. Outside the thin, shaky windows, the neighbors were making a racket. Waking up in the middle of the night, I heard hushed whispers. It was Ye Shiwei and my parents. Mu Chen probably isn't used to that hard bed. He tossed and turned all night. Let's buy him a nice mattress. My scholarship comes in next week, so I can pay for it. Their voices were incredibly quiet, but I heard everything. By the time I changed and walked out, Ye Shiwei and Dad were already gone. Where did Dad and Big Sister go? Mother Ye handed me some warm water. Your sister had to head back to college early. Your dad is driving rideshare and dropped her at the station. Morning train tickets are cheaper. It was all to save money. These people lived so frugally, yet they didn't hesitate to spend money on a soft mattress just so I could sleep comfortably. A strange feeling welled up inside me. Yazixi went to work. Jiayi ran out to play. And Mother Ye left for the craft workshop to do odd jobs. I was home alone. I stood up and opened the front door. Su Manyu rushed in with her tools. Young master, I haven't even had breakfast. I showed her around and explained my ideas for the renovation. Su Manyu grimaced, looking incredibly stressed. Your old mattress cost way more than 20,000. Now you want me to do the whole house for 20,000? I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. If it were easy, why would I even ask you? After measuring the place, she had a rough layout ready. We sat down in the living room, and she closed her tablet. Are you really staying here? Did you get tired of eating luxury food? I smiled meaningfully. Do you know why my family went bankrupt? I heard some rumors, she said. They say Ye Shiwei offended the boyfriend of the Mu family's third daughter while working, so she destroyed his family business. On the surface, that was the reason, but I knew better than anyone that Ye Shiwei wasn't the real cause. Suddenly, noise came from the door. Father Ye rushed inside. Wait, aren't you supposed to be out driving? I asked. I forgot my charger, he said, his eyes falling on the girl next to me. He thought she looked familiar. I introduced her. This is my friend, Su Manyu. She's checking out our apartment layout. Father Ye completely froze in shock. He had heard of Su Manyu, a famous genius designer who won countless awards at a young age. People offered fortunes to hire her, but she turned them all down. I won't disturb your work, Dad stammered. I will just grab the cable and go. Terrified of interrupting her, Dad grabbed his charger and hurried out. We didn't chat much longer. Su Manyu hurried back to draw the designs, and I gathered my documents and headed out to the workshop. Several women were busy inside, labeling crafts and gossiping. I stood by the door and called out, Mom, I'm heading out to run some errands. I won't be home for lunch. She smiled warmly. Be home for dinner, okay? Passing the crowded market intersection, a black McLaren was parked by the curb. I opened the back door and slid in. The girl next to me had incredibly soft, gentle eyes. Her gaze hadn't left me since she spotted me from afar. Young master, you are so cruel. Telling me about something this big only now? I smiled faintly. Weren't you abroad anyway? What difference would it make? Liu Ruyan gave a soft, meaningful hum. I see you're mad because I wasn't here to keep you company. I was both amused and speechless. Where did you learn that cheesy CEO routine? Well, since you ignored me for so long, I had to comfort myself. She playfully poked my palm. Stop teasing me. Are you holding up okay at the Ye house? Honestly, not really. I barely slept last night. I leaned against Liu Ruyan's shoulder. Hearing her soft, deep voice, my entire body relaxed as I spoke. My voice grew softer and softer. I had Su Manyu check the layout. Renovation starts tomorrow. She is always fast. If you can't sleep, stay at my place tonight. Hearing no response, she tilted her head to look and saw I was already fast asleep. She smiled helplessly and told the driver to turn up the heat. A comforting citrus scent filled the car, always making me feel safe. I slept on her shoulder for 2 whole hours. The car was parked outside the government office. Liu Ruyan gently squeezed my hand, waiting for me to fully wake up before walking inside. Transferring my registry took no time at all, since she took care of the entire process. Once the paperwork went through, my registration officially transferred to the Ye family, stamped onto Father Ye's household book. While slicing steak at a high-end restaurant, my phone buzzed. The Mu family had wired 3 million into my account. 3 million to buy your silence? Liu Ruyan sneered softly, keeping her eyes on her steak. Her tone carried a strange, unreadable edge. Honestly, I never cared about their money. But taking this hush money meant the Mus wouldn't have to worry about me spreading rumors, and I wouldn't have to watch my back. Win-win. Li Ruyan drove me home, stopping at the usual local market entrance. She gently ruffled my hair, her eyes filled with a tenderness so thick it was suffocating. Only after I turned into the market did Ruyan order the driver to pull away. Back at our rundown apartment complex, my sister Zixi was just getting off work. I washed up quickly and sat down. I had never eaten pickled cabbage fish before. The fish was incredibly tender, the greens perfectly crisp. That sour, spicy kick instantly worked up my appetite. It was the fullest I had been in 17 years. I even polished off 2 bowls of soup. My mother beamed. Tomorrow, I'll try another new recipe. I called the 11th high school today. My sister Zixi said cautiously, if you want to transfer there, you can actually take the spot Mu Chen left open. She spoke so carefully, clearly terrified of saying the wrong thing or upsetting me by bringing up Mu Chen. Mentioning my school transfer, my mother lowered her eyes and bit her lip. Our finances, we just can't afford to keep you at Shenghua. Your father and I are so sorry. Honestly, I couldn't understand my new family's logic. Feeling guilty about being poor, having a cramped apartment, or not affording an elite private school? Why apologize? If you want something, you fight for it yourself. Relying on others means you'll never stand on your own feet, even if they're family. That was the hard lesson I learned at the Mu house. Thanks for looking into it, sis. But I'm staying at Shenghua. Before my mother could voice her worries, I already knew exactly what was on her mind. I raised my hand slightly to stop her. Shenghua waives tuition for the top student in our grade. You don't need to feel guilty. I'll earn what I need on my own, because it's my life, and you shouldn't have to carry my burden. Hearing this, my mother's eyes welled up with tears. She blinked them back, squeezing out a relieved, proud smile. My sister Zixi composed herself and smiled warmly. If you can stay at Shenghua, we'll absolutely support your decision. Besides, Shenghua isn't far from the first high school, so I can pick you up after class. After dinner, Zixi washed the dishes while I headed to my room to study. The next morning, after breakfast, we all left for school and work. I had called Lu Ruyan the night before to borrow a driver. The car was already waiting at the corner. After waving goodbye to Mom, the 3 of us walked over to get in. Zixi stared at our ride, and I glanced at the Toyota logo. I had asked Ruyan to send her cheapest car. Who would have thought she'd send the latest Alford? To her, it was cheap, but compared to my family's beat-up second-hand ride, this was ridiculously expensive. Is this your friend's car? Zixi looked completely baffled. How could I still get a luxury ride on demand after leaving the Mus? Are you sure you're not a rich heir anymore? I kept my face blank, secretly sighing at Ruyan's choices. Jiayi sat quietly in the back. Sis, text your part-time job address to the driver. Only then did Zixi snap out of it. The car started up smoothly. I pulled out my phone and messaged Ruyan. Did you buy this car just for me? It takes over an hour to get to the first high. I didn't want you to be uncomfortable. Plus, I can use it for naps. I stared at the screen and let it go, knowing full well she bought it for me. After dropping Zixi off at her restaurant, the car smoothly got back on the road, heading straight to Xinghua High. When I got home that evening, dinner was ready. We all sat around talking. These past few days had felt completely surreal for my family. First, the world-famous designer Su Manyu actually volunteered to renovate our house. My parents were seeing me in a whole new light. Even in this poor home, I remained unfazed. My confidence never depended on the Mus, it came entirely from my own strength. After dinner, I showered and went to bed early. In the living room, my parents sat together. My mother tapped her chin in deep thought before finally making up her mind. We can't keep underestimating Mu Chen's connections. We should push ourselves while we're still young enough. My father nodded in agreement. These past 2 days since Mu Chen came back, I've been thinking a lot too. If we want this family to have a better life, we really can't settle for this. Ride-hailing is just exhausting work. In the end, we need to start a business. My mother sighed, looking worried. But the market is so tough right now. My father wrapped his arm tightly around her shoulders, his voice firm and steady. If we succeeded once, we can definitely do it again. Let's research the market first and do some proper groundwork to play it safe. The next morning, my father took my little sister to school. Since Shenghua is right across the street from Zixi's high school, we decided to take the bus together. The bus stop wasn't far from our complex. There were plenty of empty seats when we boarded. Zixi tapped her card twice to pay for us, guiding me to a seat in the back. I stared at the bus card hanging from her backpack. It was my very first time riding a bus, and my first time seeing a bus card. It looked pretty convenient. Where do you get one? I want to hang one on my bag, too. Zixi was silent for a moment, then unclipped hers and handed it to me. You have to go to the service center. Just take mine for now. But how will you get around? I can just scan my phone, Zixi said with a gentle smile. Seeing how fascinated I was by the little card, she just let me keep it. I happily clipped it onto my backpack. Soon, the bus started filling up. At this hour, it was packed with students, office workers, and elderly folks heading to the morning markets. With so many people, the air became stifling. In the summer heat, the lack of fresh air left a sour smell of sweat. The old Mu Chen used to detest this and refused to squeeze onto buses. Zixi glanced at me, noting my pale skin as I leaned quietly against the window. The breeze ruffled my hair while I stared outside with curious eyes. Zixi thought that, despite my overly mature attitude, I actually had a pretty cute side. The bus driver drove like a maniac as usual. To keep students from being late, we made it to the first high gate in just 40 minutes. Zixi insisted on walking me over. With plenty of time, we strolled slowly. As we walked, luxury cars zipped past, some rolling down windows to shout greetings to me. Zixi smiled, realizing my social life was actually fine. She had been worried people would alienate me once they found out about my background and make me suffer. Standing before Shenghua's grand gate, Zixi looked a bit self-conscious. "I'll pick you up after school," she said. Noticing her hesitation, I smiled and nodded. Suddenly, a tall figure lunged forward, throwing me off balance with a massive hug. Lin Jiajun squeezed my shoulders, but his eyes were completely locked on my sister. I cleared my throat to snap him out of it. Blushing as he realized who she was, he stood up straight and smoothed his clothes. "I'm Mu Chen's classmate, Lin Jiajun, and his official personal bodyguard." I tilted my head in confusion. "Since when are you my bodyguard?" Lin Jiajun leaned in and whispered, "Lady Lu's orders. She's worried people will pick on you now that you're a fake heir." He stood straight again, slung his arm over my shoulder, and grinned at Zixi. "Don't worry, sis. I'm a Taekwondo black belt. Nobody touches a single hair on his head." Looking at this cheerful, sunny guy, Zixi offered a warm smile. "Well, thank you for looking after him then." Lin Jiajun looked absolutely starstruck. Blushing, he waved his hand. "Have a great day at school, sis." Watching her walk away, he was still totally swooning. "Does your sister have a boyfriend? Would she mind if I became your brother-in-law?" I sighed. "Did you forget you're engaged? Trying to make my sister a third wheel?" Hearing this, he instantly let out a dramatic wail. I checked my luxury watch. Only 15 minutes before the bell. "I'm not being late because of you." I picked up my pace, and he scrambled to keep up. "So, I heard your family went bankrupt and has tons of debt. Now you're in some rundown building. Can you even handle that? How about I just give you my guest villa? I'll even throw in a private driver and a maid. If I actually wanted to move, you wouldn't be first in line." He pouted. "If Lady Lu can give you stuff, why can't I? I'm your ride-or-die brother." He clung to my arm. I felt totally helpless but amused. Since when did these rich kids develop a charity fetish, offering luxury cars and villas left and right? All that talk about assigned drivers and nannies, as if leaving the Mu family, made me some tragic charity case. Chatting away, the two of us reached the classroom door. The moment we stepped inside, the noisy room went dead silent. Everyone froze, eyes glued to me. Did someone ruin my face, or what? You all look like you just saw a ghost. Hearing my usual teasing tone, the tension broke, and everyone burst into laughter. One asked what plastic surgery clinic worked on my face, while another whispered, "Is it true? Looks like you all already know." I walked calmly back to my seat and sat down. Shen Mingxi slid his chair closer immediately, leaning in to whisper. "Word travels fast in our circle," he said. "I have an empty apartment under my name. It has to be better than your current place. Take it for now." Before I could even turn him down, Lin Jiajun slapped his shoulder. He did not even accept my villa. Jiajun laughed. Mingxi pouted. There was no way he could argue with him. We kept joking around, completely oblivious to our homeroom teacher, Zhou Xuemei, slipping into the classroom. "What state secrets are you debating so loudly?" she snapped. "This class is the rowdiest on the entire floor." Seeing her furious expression, everyone scrambled back to their seats. Not a single person dared to make a sound. Shenghua is a top-tier private academy for the elite. Even though the students are all trust fund kids, they are no different from regular teens. They still fear strict teachers and dread getting suspended. People think elite schools are just playgrounds for lazy kids to show off and compete, but the reality is quite different. Our academic workload is actually much heavier. Aside from the standard college prep courses, we also have to study specialized fields like economics, management, and coding. Shenghua was founded by the country's top elites, and they enforce strict rules on our behavior. Any disrespect toward a teacher triggers severe consequences. The punishment does not stop with the student. It can actually ruin their family business. Since it is the first day of school, I will let it slide, the teacher said. But this is your final year, so stay out of trouble. Understood? We all shouted back in unison. Yes, teacher. This semester we have a new transfer student. Please welcome Mu Chen. The classroom instantly turned awkward. Every eye in the room snapped to the podium. Lin Jiajun shot me a loaded look, but I just offered a careless, amused smile. My spectator vibe made it impossible to guess what I was thinking. After days of intensive etiquette training, Mu Chen finally looked the part of a wealthy heir. Wearing what he thought was a flawless smile, he began his introduction. Hello, I am Mu Chen. I was switched at birth by accident, but I have reunited with my biological parents. I hope we can all get along this year. He stood there in a custom designer suit, looking incredibly polished and gentle. Back at his old school, he might have been adored just by flaunting the Mu family name. Too bad this is Shenghua, a place crawling with actual power. His cheap tricks did not stand a chance. As his voice trailed off, the room fell dead silent. His pretentious facade annoyed Shen Mingxi, who casually threw out a mocking sneer. The real Mu family heir is truly something else, Mingxi scoffed. The second you get brought back, you kick Mu Chen out of his own home? Mu Chen flinched, his eyes trembling. He immediately slipped into his victim act, casting his eyes down with a look of fake sorrow. I thought since his foster parents raised him for 17 years, he would hate to leave mom and dad, he whimpered. I never expected him to demand $3 million from dad and just walk away without looking back. I really do not understand why my brother could be so heartless. How could you be so heartless? A sudden shout shattered the quiet classroom, making Mu Chen flinch. He spun around in shock, only to find Lin Jiajun glaring at him with pure rage, while I sat next to him, wearing an amused smirk. Our teacher frowned, fixing her eyes on Jiajun, who had slammed his desk. Sit down right now, she barked. Mu Chen hid a tiny, smug smirk, quickly switching back to his victim persona. My foster parents are struggling financially, he sighed. The massive drop in lifestyle is hard, so it is only natural they might harbor some resentment toward me. But Teacher Zhou did not buy his act. This was a highly disciplined academy, and her job was to maintain order. Our teachers here are top professionals who train future leaders. They easily saw right through Mu Chen's clumsy little games. She just chose not to embarrass him in public. I will remind you once. Shenghua is not a playground, she warned. And wear your uniform tomorrow. Muffled snickers erupted around the room. Mu Chen stood there, flushed with embarrassment. He nodded awkwardly, rushing to find an empty seat. As the class resumed, kids started whispering. Mu Chen kept glancing around, but while everyone else was discussing corporate investments and market trends, he could not understand a single word. He looked completely lost, feeling totally out of his depth. His eyes finally drifted toward the center of the room. Hey, what is that hanging on his bag? Someone laughed. The former young master is so broke he takes the bus now. Guess that school scholarship actually came in handy. Right, I forgot. They even set Chen up with the financial aid package. Another chimed in. I found the whole thing hilarious but exhausting, but as I stood up to put an end to it, Mu Chen jumped up, looking righteously outraged. You are all being way too cruel, he barked. Everyone stared at him like he was an alien. My friends and I go way back, and since I am pretty easygoing, we banter like this all the time. Mu Chen had no right to make a scene. Lin Jiajun rolled his eyes, convinced the new kid was completely delusional. I know your real parents are dirt poor, Mu Chen pleaded, looking at me. You are used to luxury, so going back to that must be unbearable. I can beg mom and dad for you. Just swallow your pride, apologize, and I am sure they will let you return. He played the saint so well. To outsiders, he looked like a kind, forgiving angel, while I was just an ungrateful fake. But instead of nodding along, the entire classroom fell into a sudden, icy silence.